Okay, we're rolling, as they say. Welcome along to Bangkok Chitchat. It's a regional report. In just a moment, we'll be talking to Craig, who will be giving us the latest lowdown in Pattaya and Rayong and the areas around there. Hello, Andrew.
Yeah, hi there.
You all right? You've been around. We're going to talk about that when we get Craig on, but everything else flowing along nicely, as they say?
Everything's fine. Just ticking along, but basically just ticking along by the second, laborious second. But no, everything is fine. Very, very good.
Okay. All right. Let's get on with the report. Oh, well, I watched football last night, so it's like a 2:00 kickoff in the morning. So a little bit of sleep beforehand, a little bit of sleep afterwards, 3 cups of coffee, and I'm good to go.
All right. I know that the Scottish football hasn't started yet, but maybe you're not interested in that anyway.
Well, it's stopped. They've stopped the league anyway.
Huh?
Celtic won it. Yeah, they stopped it.
They didn't all right, okay, yeah, so they're waiting for next season. Okay, all right, so I don't really follow football, so rugby I'm more interested in.
It's pretty obvious.
Yes, I thought you just clarify that point.
Okay, let's say hello to Craig down there in Pattaya Way. Hear the old ding dong? Actually, we only hear the ding dong, the viewers don't.
Okay, you just stick with your dong.
Yeah, I like my ding dong. Hello, Craig. Thanks for joining us. I know your time's precious. How are you doing?
Good morning. Yeah, I'm very well, thank you.
Right, well, the last time we talked to you, things were opening, as we say. Has it changed? Is it more open than before? What's the latest for Pattaya and Covid?
Yeah, so as far as I'm seeing, I think quite a lot of the bars decided to delay their opening until after the Buddha holidays, which were last week. So I think the green light from the government was on the 1st of July, and then of course there was the Buddha holidays early on. So I think a lot of places are opening open then. I'm still seeing a few sort of Facebook advertisements and whatever coming through saying that some places are opening next week or whatever. So I'd imagine by the end of this month, 80-90% of the places would be open anyway.
Have any of the local pubs closed, or any of the restaurants closed, or have they're sort of taking it on the chin and moving forward?
As far as I can see, I mean, people that have been serving food have been open for some time, haven't they? The restaurants. It was just the bars where there wasn't food, where they had to wait until the beginning of July before they were allowed to open. So I think most places, the kind of sort of guest housey type places with bars underneath, I mean, they've always been open as such, and probably on presumably skeleton staff. But of course, it's one thing being open; it's another thing having customers.
Well, that's the biggest thing, really, because I mean, obviously in Bangkok, tourists play a big part economically, but not as big a part as they do in Pattaya, where I would say it's almost like 100% of Pattaya's income is through tourists. So who's going to go to these thousands of beer bars, the pink lighted ones as you see at the side of the road? Yeah. Who is going to be there? There's expats that live there, but they can't fill up all those bars, can they?
Well, that's right. And funny enough, I think I said in the last one that I'd hardly been out after dark, but funny enough, I am going out tonight, so it'll probably be the first time that I'll be passing those pink lights at maybe 9-10 o'clock. And as you say, I mean, you look at obviously the number of expats they are, and then when you're talking about those kind of bars that are in town, it's not something they go to every week, because of course there's a cost involved in doing that. They might have all sort of jumped and sort of said, okay, we missed that, we'll go out and we'll have a good night out. But then once that's done, and put to bed. I think, with the more sort of local bars, obviously where I live over on the dark side, the bar I drink in, people are starting to come back. And I think with the pool league, for example, which they have over on the dark side, there was talk about it coming back on the 1st of September. But I know Chris, who runs my bar, and a few of the other guys who run bars that are in the league, they're trying to push it so as that it can be brought forward to the 1st of August. So I'm not too sure what the actual sort of rule is on pool leagues as such, because I heard the John TM one was open. But, pool tables are fine, aren't they? I mean, in Bangkok, the bars, people are playing pool. There's no bother.
As long as you don't share queues.
There was a ruling saying they could have the pool tables on, but I'm not sure if that's changed or not.
Well, I heard that. I heard that when they reopened, that apparently that was one of the restrictions. But again, it seems to, from what I can see, because I was out in Bangkok on when was it, Saturday evening, and yeah, I mean, every bar I went into where there was a pool table, people were playing on it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Right, so I see there's also a story there about in Rayong, which has just been released. And what happened was there was supposed to be a delegation from Egypt. I'm not sure if you've heard about this. And they came across, they flew into Utapao, yeah, and then they went to hotel. Yeah. They're supposed to be, because they're under, what I understand is that this is more diplomatic than anything else. Yeah. The government, so they didn't have to have 14 days coverage or isolation. And some of the people, or they say one soldier went out to the department stores, and basically they're having to close down the hotel. They won't release which department store. The Rayong, which is right next door to Pattaya and Chonburi, yeah. The Rayong mayor is furious because now people are going to be scared to go out, and we've got a series of holidays coming up which are not Buddha holidays, which means bars are open and things like that. Yeah. So that's what I've heard. Everyone's going mad. The army's saying it's not their responsibility. The question is, whose responsibility is it? And everyone's scared that this is a trend starting up, yeah, where you have people, they're allowing 11 categories of people to come back in. There was another case within Bangkok where I think it's Sudanese diplomats came in and they had COVID. Now, the Egyptian guy, soldier, they've all left already. So what they did is they did the test, but it took so long to get the result, they couldn't quarantine the guy. But now, in that plane, that obviously wherever they're going, they're going to have to be put in isolation. But also with a Sudanese diplomat, where one person was within the family was found to have COVID, that whole plane, over 250 people, have to go into isolation. So it's quite big, quite a big story. But I mean, I'm not sure whether your partner or your wife has said anything about this, but there's quite a lot of they're saying double standards. The army's saying it's not their fault. The point is, it's the officialdom's fault for not managing that situation.
Well, funny enough, I was talking about it with my wife in the car on the drive to the office today. And again, I don't know the exact mechanics around it all, but diplomatic immunity is what it says in the tin, basically, isn't it? It means that they don't follow the same rules that everybody else does.
The immunity, they're taking a little bit, it's got a double meaning there.
Well, exactly, yeah. And so I'm not really sure, as you say, how you could change that, because presumably diplomatic missions and whatever need to happen. And this is the whole thing, isn't it? The whole thing about people coming and going, it's the logistics of it more so than, actually being allowed to do it. I mean, I'm talking to guys in the UK who are chomping at the bit to get back, and they've got wives and they've got families. And by the new rules, that means they're allowed to come because they've got a Thai spouse or they've got a Thai child who's a national. But actually arranging for the required documents, the fit to fly, the COVID test, I think there's some process which involves Thai consulates or Thai embassies or something as well. And then that only lasts for 48 hours, almost makes it impossible for them to actually get the required information and requirements they need to get on that flight, even though on paper they're allowed to come in.
Well, when this news story broke, it was the lieutenant. I think he was a lieutenant. He just went missing. First of all, this was before the up-to-date news when they actually got him. But he went missing, and what my wife was saying is, what a thin edge we are on this COVID thing, where one person could set the whole ball rolling again by going to a department store. Maybe 6 people get infected. Those 6 people infect another 6 each. It's a domino effect. And to me, it shows you how fragile this whole situation is.
And you wonder how much longer it can go on for, you know. I mean, is this going to be like this forever now? I mean, you know, presumably it's never going to be eradicated, or certainly not going to be eradicated in the next, year or 2 years. I mean, how much longer can you go on, you know, with this sort of fear of the virus? You know, it's.
I think it's setting this when you talk about this tourist bubble. Certain places will have very low levels of infection. Yes, they go through the sort of second wave or whatever it is that they're talking about, but there has to be. You're right. There has to be some form of risk. My concern just now is over this particular issue. It was people saying "falang, falang, falang," and there's like they had when they had the AIDS epidemic many years ago. It was a falang disease, and it was really, there was a big thing against foreigners. There was like kick them all out, kick them all out. And I'm not saying they're doing that just now, because since that time in the 90s, Thailand is far more educated. But there is some who are saying this is foreigners. We should not have the foreigners allowed in. Now, I agree. You should not have tourists coming in here just now from overseas.
I think when they mean Farang, they don't mean like white man, which is what normally Thais talk about when it's a Farang. It's like, it's Asians as well. I think what they mean is anybody from another country, any country coming in. They've over 75% of a poll of Thais are saying don't let anybody in. Because we're zero here.
There was a rhetoric before. There was even from one of the government officials. That's one thing I'm a little bit concerned about. The rhetoric behind it. Yes, I know what you're saying, and the majority, I totally agree with you. But there's also a small minority who say, just kick all the foreigners out or whatever it is. I'm not saying they're going to do that, and they never have done that in the past. But it's some concerning elements, because they're obviously what they're saying just now is that the 31st of July. Anyone without their visa, etc., which we're all fine, will be kicked out. There's no extension. Now, some people can't even get home. Australia is very, very strict. Other countries, UK is not strict. That's why they got the problem. But it's quite scary. Also, there's an awful lot with this 90-day rule. An additional requirement as a foreigner. What is the rule now? Are we supposed to renew that? I think we have to, what I gather. But there's an awful lot of emptiness out there. Anyway, enough about that, because we're talking about Pattaya.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So Royal Cliff. I was down at the Royal Cliff. Beautiful. Fantastic. Last 2 weekends ago.
Some good deals are they at the moment?
Oh, brilliant deals. Really nice. There was you could see there was sort of a bit of rustiness there. But the whole place was absolutely magical and totally booked out. We left the next day in the afternoon, late checkout, 4:00. It was really brilliant.
Booked out with who, though? Who were the customers?
Thai.
Not nationality. All Thai, right?
Well, yeah, because we're the only ones that are here.
Well, expats. Were there any expats there? Any, foreigners?
Well, we were there. And we had dinner at the Royal Cliff as well. So I would say 95% would be Thai.
Yeah, and
I
mean
that's what
that
hotels need to do, isn't it? I mean, they need to have these domestic deals going on in order to generate some revenue for them. And I suppose the timing seems to have worked pretty well, because as you say, you had the 2 days last weekend, and now you've got another. I don't know if the Monday the 27th has been declared an official holiday yet, but I think it's likely to be so. So is that you've got another long weekend, or even if you haven't.
Is that a Songkran compensation day for Songkran?
Well, I haven't heard anything yet, but I think the 28th is the King's birthday, which is a Tuesday. Right. So therefore, if the holiday's on a Tuesday, I would imagine that they're probably going to say, okay, have the Monday as well, because like you mentioned, I believe the idea is they're kind of drip feeding back the Songkran holidays to the Thais, and even if they don't, presumably there's enough enough people that would be willing to take a day's annual leave or whatever to go and
I mean, getting back to what we were talking about with keep getting the borders open, I was talking to a hotelier yesterday, and he was saying, look, this is low season now. And most hotels budget for low season. Their revenues are low. They budget for having more Thais coming in. So it's a similar situation. But he said, we're making more money in low season through Thais that wouldn't have come normally. So everyone wants to get out. He said the real test is when we hit high season, especially December, January and February. If we're not open then, a lot of hotels will go under.
But that's right. I mean, I was kind of guessing again, and like all these things, it is just a guess, isn't it? Because so many times you have an idea about something and then there's no idea. But as you say, certainly beginning in November is the start of the high season, and I think Thailand need to be open for that. It's
even at a risk of maybe more infections. It's balancing. It's a balancing act. More people get it. People make money in a sector where they need to make money for Thailand. You've got to balance it all up, I guess. I mean, I just don't. I mean, I'd be happy for it no tourists to come forever, but I'm not in the business. I mean, my wife works for an airline, so in a way, I would like things to return to normal. She's on a sort of like they've cut her salary, not all of it, but some of it. For Thai Airways, so I would like it to get back to normal for that reason, but for other reasons it doesn't really affect me. But then again, I'm an oldie and I don't go traveling around too much, and if I do, it's within Thailand, which I can do now. But it does worry me that if this carries on through the high season, then that's going to affect many more businesses that have already been affected. It could be a killer blow, couldn't it?
Yeah, but I think also that there's something else they can do. Like, I was interested within the UK. Obviously, being UK, we watch the UK stuff and we watch Thai stuff and compare. Yeah. But, what they were doing is that they dropped VAT very, very low. In the UK, it was 20%. They dropped it to 5%.
5% for restaurants. Yeah.
Yeah, for all outlets to try and allow them to recover. Now, what that basically says is anyone that's not paying their tax is not going to get the benefit. So if you're paying tax, you get the benefit. If you don't, tough. You just, there you go. People that follow the rules get the reward.
Well, that was the same with the furlough thing. They were saying you have to be a legitimate business and been paying taxes to do furlough. And there were a lot of companies or businesses, especially smaller ones, that hadn't been maybe declaring a lot. And they were trying to go for furlough. And they go, we better stay away from that. Better stay away from that.
Well, there's something else they've got though. You've got this service tax, and withholding tax, which is a very much sort of hidden tax. It's on services. I think it's 3% or 5% withholding tax, and you can offset that against your profits. Now, people are not going to be making profits this year, surprisingly enough. Yeah, so it comes as a direct cost. So I think the revenue department can look for things to help certain businesses on the tax level, whether that is on VAT. Excise, withholding tax. I mean, when you buy software or something like services from overseas, you have to pay a 15% withholding tax. Yeah. So certain things, and you have to pay the VAT on top of that. So that's 22%. So they can look at different ways to let's say, assist over this period on these.
To help, yeah. I mean, in a moment, we're going to ask you, Craig, to get your crystal ball out and say, what do you see the future, which would lead on very nicely from this. But I just want to ask Andrew, when you're at the Royal Cliff, what precautions were they taking for COVID, like the buffets, and were the waiters wearing masks, that sort of thing?
Yes. So basically, not all the restaurants were open. When you arrive, you have to walk through a disinfectant tray. Then there's a machine, which is like a video with a video screen.
Puts your temperature in your head.
Yeah, and it tests. You have to in public areas. You have to wear a mask, even in the breakfast in the morning, which was pretty good. Not great, I must admit, but it was pretty good. I sort of waddled out afterwards, so I had to be pretty good.
While you're exercising now,
and they were all with masks and things like that. So overall, I was very impressed.
Right. What about the swimming pool? The swimming pool areas. Anybody allowed to swim?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people were swimming, but as you know, the sensible people, my family could never understand why I wouldn't go out and sunbathe. Yeah, I don't want to get burnt. But the sensible people were out in the morning, yeah, and then everyone was out of the pool by about 10, empty till about 4, yeah, and then they're all back in the pool in 4.
Yeah. That's Thai style, isn't it? So
and got burnt.
Yeah. Okay then, Craig. So let's finish off. Get that crystal ball out, and the main question, as I started off this chat with, is that, you know, Pattaya and that area are so dependent on tourists. Can you forecast? Can you imagine? Can you just, I don't know, put it out there when you think tourists will be able to come back and come to Pattaya? I mean, I know it's a tough question.
But it's like we discussed earlier. I mean, isn't it? Again, it's that complete managing the risk of infecting people versus you know, the revenue requirements that they need because of what it is. I mean, the 1st of November, like I said before, starts the high season. It's a big change, like you say. If there's no tourists, then at this moment in time, where ironically, like you say, some of the hotels are actually making more money from this additional long weekends, Thai tourists, deals, etc. But it's so difficult to know, isn't it? Because, like you say, this one, I think the track and trace thing, when with this Egyptian guy, when they get the results of the track and trace, and you can see how effective that's been. Once you have a couple of cases of this, then at least then they know it works or doesn't work. And I think if they're comfortable that they've got an effective track and trace method in place, then obviously they'd be more willing to take on more risk and allow tourists to go.
I'm solidly behind the track and trace, because I remember the beginning of the outbreak, the Thai government, you know, the ministries for COVID, or I don't think there's a ministry, but, you know, the health people, they were saying that their testing is not, you know, they haven't got the testing facilities, although they will test, but they are
that was going to be my next point,
going to put much more effort into track and tracing. And I think that has worked. There's a lot of countries, America, you know, where the people are up in arms. Oh, we're not going to use an app. We're not going to tell people where we are. And that just went along with the whole not wearing masks things. And I think that's why our figures are lower than a lot of other countries.
Oh, absolutely. And also, as you say, it's that whole factor of when you're told to do something, you do it. And that will be the case as the the next couple of months go on and we move towards high season. Presumably, there will be developments like a better track and trace, or a track and trace where we know that works. You know, the possibility of some kind of quick test or something along those lines, which you'll be able to take in order to be granted access. So I think, you know, there's a bit of time on our side, I suppose, 3 months. If you think 3 months ago, we were right in the midst of it all, and you think where we are now compared to where we were then, in 3 more months' time, and especially, as you say, credit to the Thais where credit's due, the way they've managed this situation and the fact that the rules are enforced means that I think they probably can enjoy some high season in November. It may be that is predominantly Asian tourists, whether or not Europeans will get back, especially when you've got countries where people are still dying on a daily basis, and of course the States as well. Whether those tourists will make it back in time for the start of the high season, I don't know. But I think there'll certainly be some tourists on the basis that the methods will have been developed to control it by then, and therefore, you know, generate some business.
Well, I think that's a good way of putting it. I think that's about it, isn't it, Andrew? We're running out of time.
Yeah, just a moment. I think there's one thing they can do. It's a bit like type 2 diabetics, where they do blood tests and things like that. They have to do that daily. Yeah, they'll come out with some solution. Maybe it's not a blood test. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's sweat or whatever it is, where they'll be able to check it. that'll be something which could maybe be used for other cases as in COVID 20, or something like that. They have to have something where there's going to be self-testing of some kind. I think that's going to be something.
That's right. As you say, you can't be getting certificates. I mean, there's simply not the capacity. If you've got a full Boeing plane coming over, everybody getting a certificate, and then the check-in process. Can you imagine that? I mean, it must be absolute chaos.
It'll be something online. It'll link to your phone. You click your test. It says this, bam. It Bluetooth to your telephone. You send it, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
On a plane.
Yeah.
So it's up. I think that's where it'll go. But
okay.
What you want to say is push the thing by Thai. UK did it after the war. Hopefully UK are going to do it again. They used to say buy British, buy British, buy British. I think that's one thing for Thailand, buy Thai, buy Thai, buy Thai. I don't mean goodbye Thai, I mean buy Thai.
Okay, well, on that good note, I think we better finish it because we're running out of time literally now. So Craig, thanks for joining us, mate. Once again, very informative. And I liked your look at the future. I think that was pretty good, pretty much on the button, that people will come back, not maybe as many, but it will start filtering in country by country. And I think that's the way to go. That's it, I think. Andrew, anything else?
For this time, no. The second time round, no, nothing.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Craig, for the report.
Thank you,
please do come on again. It'd be lovely to talk to you.
Sure. No worries at all.
Thanks very much.
Okay, mate. All right, then.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Yeah, that was so informative. Craig, he's a goodie down there, isn't he? And your Royal Cliff stuff was interesting because like a month ago, there would have been a totally different scenario of you going down there.
Yeah, and we went to a restaurant in there, which was very nice. And I don't normally stay in 5-star hotels as far as when I'm paying. If it's a business trip, I'll stay. But it was fantastic. It was really good. And I think it was good for the Royal Cliff for people who wouldn't normally pay 6,000-7,000 baht for that, which actually is not a lot if you're coming from the UK, or it was before.
Yeah.
Acceptable. I think it was a great exposure that they gave.
Yeah.
I can actually turn around to somebody and say, listen, I'd recommend that hotel. So they can look at it as a marketing budget. And the restaurant we were in they had lamb and all. It was beautiful. Absolutely great. Andreas.
All right then. So thanks very much for watching us on Bangkok Chit Chat. Please like and share the video. That really does help us a lot. And our subscriptions are increasing on a daily basis, which is really nice to know. But if you haven't subscribed, then please do. And I think this may be one of my last Zooms from my garden.
Yeah, we're back in the studio.
Yes, our studios are up and running, so we've got some.
All the night before, then we can do a Zoom. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Or a heavy night of any description, basically speaking. I do like the Zoom on a lazy point. Anyway, as I say, thanks ever so much for joining me. Bye-bye, Andrew, and I'll be talking to you again soon. And we'll see you guys on the next Bangkok Chit Chat.